Hi, it's Debbie here, and today I'm unboxing and taking a first look at the Spellbinders Glimmer hot foil system. As much as I love foil on cards, I've not previously gone down the foil route. The Spellbinders system tempted me though, and that's because of the letterpress look you get, as well as the foil with this system. I've been a long-term fan of letterpress, and the combination of letterpress and foiling was enough for me to give the system a go. So my caveat to this video is that as this is my first time ever foiling, then I have little to reference this machine against. However, I hope you still find my thoughts and experiments helpful. So let's crack on and take a look. This is a true unboxing as I turn the camera on so that I could walk you through exactly what is included in this Spellbinders Glimmer hot foil system. I have a Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting machine, and I love the clean lines of the white and grey colour scheme, and I'm delighted to see the Glimmer machine appears to be the same. As indicated on the box, along with other information on how to use the machine and what materials can be foiled, is the fact that you do need a die cutting machine in addition to the Glimmer machine. Opening the box, and the machine is well packaged with formed cardboard pieces to protect the contents. I live in the UK, and so it's good to see the power cord with the UK plug. As I open this further, I did discover another power cord too with a 2-pin plug. First on the top of the pile of contents was the instruction booklet with clear instructions and pictures to help me too. Next was the plates that you heat up, and I must say how light and easy to handle all the machine parts were. To get you started, you get 2 rolls of foil, 1 silver and 1 rose gold. And next in the parcel you get a handy magnetic pair of tweezers, more on those later, a couple of glimmer plates so that you can start foiling straight away, and then an acrylic spacer shim and a thin shim. Also in this pack of bits and pieces is the silicone cooling pad to place your dies on to safely let them cool down. Finally, there is the base of the machine. I took the UK power cord and plugged it into the socket and then into the back of the base, and then I was ready to start experimenting. Rather than skip to the part where I know what I was doing, I thought you'd find it interesting to see my first foiling attempt. So I'm all set up now, and the base machine has the switch to turn it on, and as you do so, 3 lights on the base flicker on briefly and the red power light remains lit. I push the plate into place, and there's a connector at the back of the plate that slots into the base, and it's quite easy to do even for me who has tendinitis. The plate is now heating up, and while it does so, I'm going to get the glimmer plate ready. I have this beautiful copper plate, Merry and Bright plate designed by calligrapher Paul Antonio. I place the plate on the platform. Now this is heating up, and so instead of straightening the plate on the platform with my hands, I use the magnetic tweezers. The great thing about these tweezers is that the magnet sits on only one of the prongs, so if you want to pick up the plates then you can do so with the magnet, but if you want to shuffle it around so that it is straight, then you use the other prong, and that allows for small adjustments. I lined up the plate according to the lines on the platform. In actual fact, I intend to die cut this sentiment, so really it doesn't matter if it was on straight or not, but it's automatic to try and straighten things if you have a grid. The Glimmer machine comes with a starter pack of silver and rose gold foil, but I also have this copper foil. I love the look of copper on a grey, and that's where today's card started, with the plan of copper foiling this lovely sentiment on a grey piece of card. I guesstimated how much foil I needed and cut the piece, and a spoiler alert here, I love the foiling I get with the system, but the most difficult aspect I found was cutting the foil, as it is whisper light and doesn't provide much resistance for scissors to cut through. However, my Tim Holtz scissors came to the rescue, and these scissors are so good, and you'll see me switch to those as we go through this video. You can now see that the green platform ready light is lit. This means the platform is good and hot and ready. The grey area of the platform does get hot, however. I didn't feel at risk of burning or anything, but obviously you have to be careful. I placed the piece of foil pretty side down over the plate and added a piece of grey card. I then added the spacer and shim on top and pressed the timer button. The green timer light flashes, and while it's warming everything up ready for the next step, I set up my die cutting machine. Once the time is up, the light turns to a continuous green and it's ready to run through the die cutter. Gently pull the platform from the base and run it through the die cutter. I have a Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting machine, but the Glimmer hot foil system works with a range of die cutters. I ran the sandwich through the machine and back a couple of times, but not for any particular reason. It's how I die cut too. I guess I feel a couple of runs through will give the chance of a better result than one run through. I lifted the shims away and picked up the card from the platform with the tweezers and peeled back the foil to reveal a beautifully foiled and letterpress sentiment. Don't you just love that copper on grey look? I used the tweezers to place the glimmer plate on the silicone mat to cool and click the platform back into place ready for next time. I did get some excess foil sticking around the edges, but that is easy to remove with a sand eraser. I know on hindsight that I'd cut too big a piece of foil. I found I got the best results with minimal extra foiling when the foil was just a tad larger than the plate. However, the sand eraser did a fabulous job and removed the excess foil without damaging the surface of the card. To some extent, the extra foil didn't matter anyway, as I planned to die cut the sentiment, and the excess foil would have been outside the die cut area. Now let's take a closer look at that deeply inset foil. It's just so beautiful. I thought I'd try this again, and for my second run through, I now had decided how I wanted to use the foil piece, and so arranged the plate on the platform in a landscape orientation. I then added a smaller piece of foil, again pretty side down. As I laid the foil down, I suspected that pointy piece might cause extra foiling, but I knew I'd be able to fix it with the eraser if it did. I added a piece of smoke card and the spacer and shim, and then set the timer. Once the time was up, I ran it through the die cutter again. Lifting the foil, you can see that that pointy end did indeed cause some extra foiling, but it was so much cleaner using the smaller piece of foil, and the sand eraser quickly fixed the excess. The glimmer machine can not only foil glimmer plates, but also wafer dies as well, such as this sprig from the Little Plants die. However, I decided to use that sprig in a different way, which I'll show you later. I picked out a die from the A2 Matting Basics A set and die cut the sentiment piece. I love how elegant the copper plate Merry and Bright die looks on the smoke card, and the foiling in copper is exquisite. I had this pattern paper in mind as it matched the smoke card perfectly. This paper is one from Alexandra Renke, and I love the modern pattern as well as the thick quality of this paper. I cut a piece of the pattern paper to 5 1/4 by 4 inches and added foam adhesive to the back and mounted it on a card base cut from Bazzill Marshmallow card. The soft white of this card matched the pattern paper really well. I also added foam adhesive to the back of the grey sentiment panel and added that to the card front, and I used a T-square ruler to ensure I had it on straight. I debated whether to leave the card there, super clean and simple, and letting the forward sentiment shine. However, I kept thinking about that sprig from the Little Plants die set. So I took a piece of Scrapbook Adhesives adhesive sheet and added it to Marshmallow card. I then removed the protective backer and laid on the sticky surface a piece of leftover foil I'd cut away. Now, I didn't do a great job of laying the foil on smoothly, but there was still enough to cut the sprig die from. The die cut catches the light and is so pretty and shiny in real life. I really don't think the camera or the video really captures how pretty this foil is. I added small pieces of foam adhesive to the back of the die cut and nestled it next to the foiled sentiment. I felt the top right of the grey panel was now looking a little bare, and so I pulled out copper penny Nuvo crystal drops and added a trio of droplets to balance things out. And there you have it, my first ever foiled card and bonus letterpress effect too. I thoroughly enjoyed experimenting with the Spellbinders Glimmer hot foil system, and I think it would make a great Christmas present. I'll leave links in the YouTube description below to the products that I've used today, as well as a link to the coordinating blog post over at limedoodledesign.com. I want to thank you for joining me today, and if you've enjoyed this tutorial, I'd be delighted if you subscribe to this channel. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.